boys and girls. Remember how yesterday we read Now We Can Have a Wedding and talked about making inferences? Well, today we're going to reread the book, except for this time, each new page when we get to a new food that they're making, we're going to predict where we think they're from. So, making predictions. So a prediction is a guess you make using text or picture clues to help you. So we're going to do the first page together, and then on the next couple, I'll give you 10 to 30 seconds to write down where you think it's from. So my sister Sally is getting married. She's marrying Roberto Gonzalez from 4B. The whole building is invited. Everyone will come and everyone will bring food to the party. I can't wait. Soon we will have a wedding. What is a wedding without tamales? Said Papa. Papa gets out the skillet. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. Papa browns the meat and onions. I roll the filling in the grape leaves. The windows steam over. I give a long sniff. Yum. There, says Papa. The tamales are done. Now we can have a wedding. So, to make our first prediction, we're going to look at the pictures. So this is what they're making. And then we're going to look at all of the things that they have out. And we're going to look at Papa. And so using the context clues from the pictures and the words, I want you guys to write down what country you think this food is from. All right. What is a wedding without challah? Says Mr. Gold in 3A. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I knead the dough. Mr. Gold shows me how to twist long ropes of dough into braids. When the challah is golden brown, Mr. Gold takes it out of the oven to cool. There, says Mr. Gold, the challah is done. Now we can have a wedding. So again, on your piece of paper, I want you to write down where you think the challah is from. What is a wedding without a wedding pie, says Anya in 2D. Anya gets out her chopping board. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. Anya hands me a wooden spoon. I mix the quart with meat, chopped eggs, and raisins. The kitchen fills with savory smells. There, says Anya, the pie is done. Now we can have a wedding. So now I want you to write down where you think a wedding pie is from. What is a wedding without tamales, says Mr. Gonzalez in 4B. Mr. Gonzalez gets out the steamer. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I mix the cornmeal and water to make dough. Together we spoon on the filling and wrap the tamales in corn husks. White and black beans, said Mr. Gonzalez, so Roberto and Sally will have many boy babies and many girl babies. Soon the kitchen fills with spicy smells. There, says Mr. Gonzalez, the tamales are done. Now we can have a wedding. So write down where you think tamales are from. What is a wedding without a taishiyaki, says Mrs. Haru in 4C. Mrs. Haru gets out the cutting board. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I wash the fish while Mrs. Haru carefully scales them. The fish are happiness, she tells me, for luck. Mrs. Haru lays them out. Their heads are still on. I don't like the way they look, but they will taste very good. We rub the fish with salt, and Mrs. Haru grills it over a charcoal fire. There, says Mrs. Haru, the tie is ready. Now we can have a wedding. So I want you to write down where the tie is from. What is a wedding without steamed cakes, says Mr. Chin in 5B. Mr. Chin gets out his bamboo steamer. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I beat the eggs. Honey harmonizing with oil buns, Mr. Chin tells me, to bring harmony to this marriage. Soon the kitchen is filled with sweet smells. My mouth waters. There, says Mr. Chin, the steamed cakes are done. Now we can have a wedding. So now write down where the steamed cakes are from. What is a wedding without biscotti, says Mrs. Signora Theodora in 2C. Signora Theodora gets out the measuring spoons. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I roll ropes of dough. Signora Theodora ties them into little knots. For two people whose lives will now be entwined, she tells me, she crosses her fingers like this. I taste some baking chocolate. Bitter, Signora Theodora laughs at my face. There, Signora Theodora, the biscotti is done. Now we can have a wedding. So now I want you to write down where the biscotti is from. What is a wedding without a big cake, says Mama. I wash my hands and tie on an apron. I dust the cake pans with flour while Mama creams the butter. Together we sift the flour and mix the butter. So where do you think a big cake is from? Mama pulls the pans out of the oven. Soon the kitchen fills with the scent of vanilla. When the cake is cool, Mama frosts the layers and sets them upon the other, climbing up and up like a white tower. I lick the beaters. There, says Mama, the cake is done. Now we can have a wedding. The counters are crowded with covered dishes, mountains of tamales from Papa, loaves of challah from Mr. Gold, a wedding pie from Anya, pans of tamales from Mr. Gonzalez, platters of Thai from Mrs. Haru, trays of steamed cakes from Mr. Chin, plates of biscotti from Signora Theodora, and a towering wedding cake from my mama. All made with love to celebrate the wedding. But something is missing. What is a wedding without rice? Rice to toss at the bride and groom, rice to wish them luck and happiness and many children. I run to my room for circles of nets and lengths of ribbon. Back in the kitchen, I ladle a spoonful of rice in each circle and wrap it in the fabric. I tie each circle closed with a piece of ribbon. There, the rice packages are done. Now we can have a wedding. So does everyone have a prediction for the different foods? All right, now I want you guys to go back to your seats, and with a partner who's sitting next to you, I want you to compare your predictions and see if you have any of them that are alike. And the person who's the oldest will talk first. And then after, I'll give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes to discuss with your partner, and then we're going to read the last page, and it'll tell us where all of the different food dishes are from.